we didn't know these things. And we talk about families where, you know, you shower in the morning or you shower in the evening when you come home from work. Like, we were a shower when you come home in the evening kind of family. So for me to be the mayor was just a tremendous honor and blessing.
Okay, thank you. I take responsibility for that 30 seconds because we thought we were gonna have Spanish speaking, but we're good. Just set the timer for 2 minutes. And next question.
Basically, it's recommendations to both of you. Please take care of the west side. I call the west side the Appalachia of the West. I used to have an office, a UFW office, which I grew up for 25 years in Houston. And then I was transferred to Los Angeles, and I was for 25 years in Los Angeles. So when I came back, I noticed that the west side is worse than when I left to LA. You know, so I want to ask you to please don't forget the west side, because both of you guys are proud of the west side. I know a lot of towns that are around that area, and we don't have no water, we lack education, and when we talk about water, we talk about the farmers. Yes, we want water for the farmers, but we want water for the communities. So basically, I'm just asking you to please think about us, you know, because as soon as you go to different areas, you know, we had to wait 2 more years and see what happened. So that's only a recommendation to both of you guys.
This person, me? Yeah. No, thank you. I have a real heart for the west side of our valley. A couple examples. When I was mayor of Merced, there were some real, you mentioned water, drinking water. The city of Dos Palos has some real challenges when it comes to drinking water. It gets its water from the aqueduct, it has algae that blocks the filters, and you have a whole community that doesn't have water. We did everything we could when that happened to send water from Merced water trucks, cases of water, advocating at the state to get grants for Dos Palos to be able to overcome those issues. Same with transportation as well. There were certain state transportation dollars and Measure V dollars that could only be used with big projects. And Dos Palos would get a little piece of those, but it wasn't enough to actually do a project. So we would swap them. We'd say, you know what, we'll give you money you can use so that you don't have this stranded grant, for example. And so we need to be very mindful of opportunities, knowing that a lot of the communities are smaller. There are real challenges around drinking water and investment in infrastructure that hasn't occurred but needs to occur.
I would add to that, as the representative of a lot of the rural west side communities, what I've learned over my 12 years as a county supervisor is, number one, it's a slow process, and number two, no one person or entity can do it by themselves. You have to develop partnerships and relationships. For example, as the county supervisor, I partnered with Senator Caballero and helped to bring a cleaner water supply to the community of San Joaquin. And in addition to just the water, the community of Cantua Creek, 3 times the county petitioned the state that we need a grant to help that community, and quite frankly the staff had given up, and I told them we don't give up, those people are relying on us. And on the 4th time, we got the grant. And then once we get the grant, it's millions of dollars. It takes a tremendous amount of time to procure the companies, to drill the water, to infiltrate it, put the filter system on, and to get it into production. But it really takes a partnership, and you have to partnership with your communities, the cities, your elected officials, in order to get real results. In addition, like the unincorporated community of Tranquility, their roads had not been resurfaced in over 20 years, and they almost look like gravel roads. So we started as a county, and when you do one road and they have 14, it's $1 million per road. And our budget simply, as a standalone, can't do it. So I reached out to Esmeralda. She said, what can I help you with? and I said, we need money from the state. And again, with that partnership, we got 3 roads done, and we have 3 more ready to do. So again, we have to have patience, and we have to have a working relationship with everyone in order to get things done.
Okay, next question. We understand that there's a lot of investment that wants to come into the valley, data centers, solar companies, and it's putting in jeopardy the agricultural business that for generations have been thriving here in the valley. What are we going to do to preserve that balance of water as new companies seek to take those lands, displace workers, and really put an economic burden on local rural communities as well as urban? 2 minutes.
We'll go first this time, yeah. I have firsthand knowledge on that because the district that I represent is one of the largest areas for solar in the valley, so we've had a lot of experience in that. 2 major solar companies have come in. The Westlands Water District is doing that. First and foremost, as a supervisor, I've only allowed those projects on ground that is fallow. When we can't get the water to it, those landowners need another source of revenue in order to pay their property taxes every year. So I'm not allowed any solar on any ag land that has viable water. In terms of the data centers, there are no data centers coming in to the Fresno area. They obviously require a lot of water, a lot of power. The people have clearly spoken they don't want those in their communities, and I'm simply not in favor of that. In terms of what we can do, what we've done is we've made agreements with these large solar companies that they have to have a community benefit portion of their revenue stream. And again, because of that, the community of Cantua Creek that's wanted a fire station for decades, they had one that was taken away. As part of that solar company plan to come in, we required them as a community benefit. They are now building a fire station in the community of Cantua Creek. And those are the things that you have to be tough, you have to negotiate well, but we need a community benefit portion because they will generate a lot of money off of these farms. And in place of the ag land, they have to provide a benefit to the communities that they're coming in, and we've done that in Fresno County.
Yeah, we're not a good candidate for data centers. They shouldn't be happening in our Central Valley. It's hot here. It's very hot, which takes even more energy to cool them, right? More water. And so, look, data centers don't have to be located near, population centers, or they can be located anywhere. We're not a good candidate for those. And so, that's my approach to them. Look, when it comes to solar, we're dealing with Sigma and the more fallowing of land and not the availability of water. And so, if we are going to add more solar, there needs to be a benefit. Look, there's a lot of benefit that goes to these companies, these power companies, and so it needs to be shared. And pointing out how we have some real needs in our communities that need to be addressed, and it's not just a one-way street. That community stakeholders have to be involved in the process. It's not just the electeds. It's showing up in rooms like this and having conversations about them with the real facts about the project, so that everyone can weigh in. All right? These aren't decisions that are just made in boards or city council meetings. These are community decisions, and that's the way that it should be.
If elected, how will you navigate the political dynamics in Sacramento and work across party lines to ensure our district receives the funding, resources, and legislative support it needs?
You're first this
I
time,
can go
right?
first. It's like I mentioned earlier in getting things done for the people that we represent, is you have to develop relationships. And I serve as a minority party on our county board, and yet because of where we can find common ground, we've developed those relationships, and I've delivered a lot for the communities that I represent, even though I'm in the minority party. On this seat, I would have the good fortune, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, that I would be in the majority party. I would be able to have those relationships and to steer those resources back here for the valley. So again, I think it all goes back to relationships and developing those things in order to find coalitions, because in Sacramento, on on the assembly side, you need 41 votes to do anything. And so I hope to be a part of that, develop those relationships with everyone in the assembly on both sides of the aisle to get things done for our valley.
Yeah, so as mayor, the composition of our council changed every 2 years to some degree. And the consistent theme was, even though it's a nonpartisan office, people kind of know people's party registration. I was always in the minority. We were very effective. We were a team. I was fortunate to be the face and the leader of that team, but we did things together. And that's my approach. I worked across the line, party lines as mayor. Had a great relationship with our governor. Would text him when I needed things. He invited me to this State of the State address. People would give me a hard time. Hey, why are you talking to the governor? And I'd say, well, why wouldn't I? Right? Like, it would be a disservice. It would be malpractice if I wasn't talking to the governor, if I wasn't in the room where decisions were being made that impacted my constituents. And that's the way I approach things. And the real truth about what happens in Sacramento is Republican legislators that are independent-minded like I am, that really just want common sense solutions, get more done than a lot of the backbench Democrat legislators. It's just the truth. We have some effective legislators in the minority party, and people want to be able to do some bipartisan legislation. They want to be able to say, hey, I've got, Murphy or whoever it might be on their bill, and take amendments that would reflect it to make it something that's good for our district. So that's my approach, and it'll continue to be my approach, and more legislators should do that.
I'll ask the next question. Here in the Central Valley, and many of the counties, particularly Fresno County, we are paying the highest rates and electricity bills by $1,000 per household statewide. Fresno County is the poorest county in the state. What are we going to do to balance that cost of living? Right now, families are struggling. The American domestic agenda is being ignored by our public servants. What are you going to do to address the high cost of fuel, of groceries? They have not dropped since COVID. 2 minutes, and this time we'll start with Mr. Murphy.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah, so you mentioned fuel, groceries, utilities. Let's try to tackle them. So with fuel, we have the highest gas prices in the nation. Right? We have the second highest utility rates in the nation. Our gas prices are higher than Hawaii. Right? And it takes more and more to fill up our grocery cart than ever before. Right? So what do? Look, we still need to be able to pay for infrastructure. The revenues that come from from us need to pay for infrastructure. There was a whole lot of splash around, hey, we've got $5 billion now because of the new gas tax to be able to put towards infrastructure. But in reality, over that same period, that $5 billion can be found somewhere else. Our state budget has gone from $215 billion to $355 billion in that time. So we can suspend the gas tax and still have the infrastructure that we need. On the utility rates, look, we have folks that are paying more in utility rates than they are for their rent. I hear it more and more and more, and I mean certainly during this time of the year. And so those decisions are made at the state level. The Public Utilities Commission makes those decisions. And if you want to keep setting rates the way we are, then you keep voting in the same people that are there. Right? It's not right that we have a system where the more a company spends, the more their profits are. Right? That's how it is. The more that they spend, the more the rates go up. And so the incentives aren't aligned to really to be efficient and to take advantage of clean power that is hydropower. We have dams right now that Lake McClure, for example, it's already in operation, but it's not considered clean. Well, it's clean, right? And so the renewable portfolio needs to be adjusted to reflect the real priorities of taking care of our environment and our people who pay the rates.
For me, I believe the problem not only is coming from the state legislature, but it's coming from all of the in-between of the state boards. I can tell you as a fourth generation dairyman, I'm the most regulated industry in the entire food chain. And we answer to the state water board, we answer to the state air board, and the problem is these people are appointed and they're not elected. And the people that are overseeing them is the state legislature. And no one in the state legislature is saying, hey, enough is enough, you are hurting the people. And by doing that, they keep creating more rules and regulations, and it's putting more and more people out of business in my industry. And when you do that, then of course it's the law of supply and demand, and then the cost of goods are going to start to go up. So when we keep having these rules and regulations that are being made by a non-elected body that are squeezing the industry and causing our jobs to go away, the cost of our goods to go up, then of course the people in the urban centers are going to feel the brunt of that. So we need strong leadership in Sacramento to say enough is enough, and we need to put new people into these middle-level boards that are regulating all of our industries. In terms of like the power and the things like that, again, these big solar companies come in and want to get huge profits. They need to give back to the communities that they're putting these in. We've started out on a small scale in the county of Fresno, and that needs to be expanded on a statewide basis so that all the people enjoy the benefits of what these corporations are making the benefit of.
Okay, question.
And just to preface this question is specifically designed to see how future thinking y'all are rather than just pleasing your constituents in the moment and saying what they want to say. The California ag business, which is a huge part of the central area here, is $61.2 billion a year. That's a good chunk of change. But in a state where it does $4.25 trillion, our ag business is only 1.44% of our income. It's a small proportion overall for the income of it. It has low profit margins, and that has historically done a really great job of exploiting labor from other people, specifically a group that sits here today. That being said, 1.44% of our income, yet it uses 79% of our groundwater and over 80% of our prepared water. And California is going to run out of water. This is specifically because of the way we have turned into more profitable ag business, which makes sense, such as almonds, which we have now laser focused our state so that you can almost not fail at being an almond farmer in this state today. Everything is so pointed towards that, but it is destroying our economy. So what is your plan, or what do you see as possibilities to help shift this area so that it's not so dependent financially on such a small margin income that takes so many of our required resources such as water and then exploits our people? What is your plan or your ideas to help get us out of that kind of thing and help the people of this area?
Well, I'll answer that first, being a fourth generation farmer. I would disagree with you a little bit. Ag uses a lot of water, but those numbers are distorted. That is what is the captured water behind, but that is not the total water. That doesn't allow for all the water that is leaving our valley and going into the ocean to protect a species that is non-native to California. And again, people are clamoring that the cost of groceries are so high. Well, in the past, we had a good infrastructure and people valued the farm, and by doing that, we were able to provide a safe and reliable food source. So when we have policies that are detrimental to the farms, then of course, again, the law of supply and demand, then the cost of goods are going up. So to do that, we've started to import food from other countries because it's cheaper. And when we do that, when we look at all the food scares just in the last 30 days, every one of those has come from a foreign food supply. So if you want a safe and reliable food source, we need to keep investing in our farms, and doing that, we will not conserve our way out of this. We need to invest in our infrastructure that they did many, many years ago. Of course, if we were to try and put a dam up, that's just nearly unheard of. SGMA now is regulating all our underground water, so So what we need to do now, when you can't go up, we need to recharge and put the water underground so that all the communities, as well as the farmers, have an ample food supply, because we all have to coexist in here. And again, the Central Valley is a Mediterranean climate. It's not located in any other place in the world. And if we don't preserve that, I think people are amazed that if you look back at your history, the #1 ag county in the state of California was Los Angeles. And today they have none. They've paved over everything.
It's clear that we're living off the investments of prior generations. In 1962, JFK was here, just down the road at San Luis Reservoir to break ground. Population of the state of California, currently 40 million, at the time was 19 million. We have not doubled the capacity to capture water in this state. We need to do better than that. We passed a water bond as a state. It has not been funded. All the conservation aspects have been receiving funding, but Sites Reservoir, for example, needs to have more priority to it. Look, it needs to be a both approach. More to your question, right? Just because you have when you have folks that are treated poorly doesn't mean you throw away the industry. It means you treat folks better, right? That's what you need to do. You need to treat folks better. And so we do that, and we invest in education. Education is the opportunity. It's a ladder of opportunity. Many of us have experienced that. We all want more for our kids than we've had. And so whether that's Fresno State or UC Merced or the community college system, the K through 12 education system, it's making investments there so that we have a trained workforce. And look, a university education isn't for everyone. Trade opportunities. So we need to continue with sort of the lifeblood of how we operate and how we work, but recognize that there needs to be other opportunities as well.
Okay, questions from the floor?
Yes, thank you. Ana Boinga, the primary role of the State Assembly is to draft, debate, and vote on laws, negotiate the state budget, and represent local communities. How does the education of our children fit into your vision if elected?
I appreciate the question. Look, and like my last response was about education. It's key, right? I mean, that's the great equalizer. You have a good education, you have a good start, a good foundation, and that provides opportunities. I was the first, and up until April, I would have said I'm the only one in my family of the siblings to have gone to college. My parents didn't go, but my sister graduated from Stanislaus State a few months ago in her mid-40s, which is super hard to do. I put myself through Georgetown Law School with kids, 3 kids at the time. But I look back at my educational opportunities, and that's what's been the change for me and for so many other people. And we have to take kids however they come to us, whatever their family situation is, and we've got educators that wake up every morning and do really good work. And so the legislature needs to have educators back, right? And also be results oriented, right? We need to have children that can read by 3rd grade. Right? You learn to read till 3rd grade, then you're reading to learn. And if you're not able to read, then your learning is stunted. And so that needs to be a real priority, to be results oriented, and that's what I'll do.
Well, for me, as I stated in my opening comments, prior to being a supervisor, I dedicated 12 years of my life to the Kerman Unified School District as a board member. I too believe education is a great equalizer. I was grateful for the opportunity that I had received, and after receiving my college degree, which I too am also the first one in my family to go away to college. In my parents' day, when you graduated, you just went to work, and that's what they did. So although my parents did not go to college, they valued education and provided the opportunity for me to go away to school. So again, I've spent 12 years in the Kerman Unified School District. We made that a priority. And in addition to not even going to college, but I just attended an event yesterday. One of the people that was from the district when I was there advanced to the county level and is the director of vocational ed. and he received the award for affecting the most people's lives over his career. So while as a school board member, it was my opportunity to give everyone the opportunity to go to college. Not everyone is meant or has a desire to go to. So we had one of the top vocational ed programs in the entire county of Fresno. And as such, they stole our director to the county level. But on a good note, he gave that same opportunity to over 20 school districts because we need skilled labor here. It's a great opportunity to provide for their family. And I hope to take that same mentality and approach and put the emphasis on that at the state capitol to make sure our schools are well funded and provide an opportunity for everyone, those going to college and those that are going into the trades.
Okay, questions from the floor?
Don't believe we've met. My name is Jason Paul from the city of Livingston. Affordability has become a major tag word across political campaigns. Dems are talking about it, Republicans are talking about it, you both have spoken about it throughout your campaign trails. When I think about affordability, on the opposite side of it, in almost every sector of the economy, you can see mega corporations that are making more money than they ever have before while ripping people off, right? You want to talk about affordability with energy, you got companies like PG&E making more money than they ever have before while regular people, farmers can't afford their bills. Healthcare, pharmaceutical side, you got big health insurance companies, big pharmaceutical companies making more money than they ever have before while people can't afford their basic needs. And so when it comes to addressing the affordability crisis, at a policy level, what is your plan to attack corporate power, where you have monopolies that are consolidating control and ripping all of us off? And if you don't think that we need to attack that corporate power, what specific policy proposals do you have to address the affordability crisis?
Well, for me, I think for me, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's the regional aspects of our government that are really affecting that. And we can go with the public utilities, the one that just came out this week, that it's a great idea that we're going to make all our tires more efficient. And at the same time, as we hear the local business owners that have to live with that, they're going to take 70% of the available tires off the market. So maybe it will be more efficient, but in the short run, those tires are going to cost more money. It's going to put, again, a burden on our people. And we need people in those positions that understand what the real world is like in terms of PG&E and the big corporations. That there, again, has to be controlled by the people in the legislature and putting good policies in place that don't let them run amok. Unfortunately, part of the issue is this is a capitalist society, and that is part of the thing, that they go and are regulated by their boards and their stockholders. So it's very difficult to go in and to regulate a private company when they do those kind of things. But we need to put people in on the boards that are doing the regulation to put those policies in place to stop from gouging the people that they're here to help. I don't think there's any question that we need our pharmacies in order to provide the health care that the Valley so very much needs. But there's got to be a balance between corporate profit and being able to do the research to put those products in the people's hands that need them the most. So as a legislature, I hope to find that balance.
Yeah, I mean, we need to realize that these decisions by corporations have real impacts on people's family budgets, right? And recognizing that, yeah, things, you know, it's tough to regulate, but ultimately, like, the state has the power to regulate. The entities that you mentioned, Japji, are all heavily regulated industries, right? Whether it's energy, healthcare, and they're regulated by the state. And so, look, you have to recognize that there is the power to do something about it, and we just have to have the political will to do it. There are other ways to it. In Merced, we have some areas don't have to be on PG&E. They're on the Merced Irrigation District, and if you're in the Merced Irrigation District, you're pretty lucky, right? Because your rates are a lot lower. If you're in Sacramento, some people are in SMUD, and their rates are a lot lower, right? So there's a different way to do it. We need the political will to do it. Recognizing it costs money to run a utility, but look, we need to recognize that people are really struggling and trying to get by, and you make your family budget work, and then school starts, and buying shoes for the kids, so look, we need folks that are willing to take on hard issues, right? We can do hard things. Right? There's sort of this inability or lack of desire to take on hard things again, like prior generations have done. And every generation is different, but we need to bring down costs. Right? We need to create opportunities through education, through work opportunities. Right? We all want our kids to have the ability to have a job to take care of their kids, and so that's the prism we need to look at this through.
Okay. There was another question over here.
Yes, Brian, Mike, I just wish you guys the best. I know it's hard to campaign. My question is in terms of healthcare. That's my public health is my specialty. I know I'll speak in terms of I'm a Navy veteran. I'll bring up a term. What's your contingency plan in terms of the devastating cuts that are coming? Madera went through a devastating experience. What is your plan in terms of the devastating cuts that are coming? Particularly, I worry, particularly with the cuts that are coming in terms of our hospitals, in terms of our rural community clinics. What at the state level, policy-wise, is there any plan, contingency plans at the state that we can do in terms of, that we can help our residents in terms of, what we can do? Because the prescription drug plans are going, folks that are on Medi-Cal, our seniors, some folks are already cutting their insulin, some folks are already, cutting their plans. What can we do? Because, I see the devastation already. What is the state level that we can do? Because without a healthy workforce, our folks, we don't beg for nothing. We're prideful. And what at the state level we can do to do that, to implement those plans?
I think I get to take
Yes,
this one.
you're first. You're first.
And thank you for your service and for the question as well. Healthcare is so important, right? It's not a siloed issue. It impacts everything about our lives, right? And having a healthy workforce, having a healthy family. There's been a lot of emphasis on coverage, and we've got some challenges with HR1, right? There's been a lot of emphasis on coverage, and we've made some real strides with respect to coverage. But the piece that's not talked about enough is having enough providers as well. We don't have enough providers. We wait for weeks, we wait for months, we travel for an hour, 2 hours more to be able to be seen. And having coverage without the ability to see a provider is an empty promise. The state can make real investments to do that. In particular, we don't have, the program at UC Merced, they have a fledgling medical school program. It's not a standalone program, it's with UCSF. We need to have our own public medical school here in the valley. Why does that matter? Well, we need to have our friends, our neighbors, people from our region that want to become doctors, get trained here, have their education here, their residency here, put down roots here, and stay here, so that we have more providers. The Madera hospital closure created a real crisis, not just for Madera, right? Created a crisis for Fresno and for Merced and for their emergency rooms, and the leading factor of why they closed, there were many, but was the payer mix, right? There wasn't enough in payments to be able to keep them solvent, and so we need to get in front of that to make sure that you can do business as a physician, right? To be able to care for people, helping with our community health centers where so many of our indigent population, that's their point of entry, and making sure that it's not just the ER that you go to, that you have preventative care, and that the state is watchful of all those things and proactive, getting in front of problems before another Madera and so forth.
So I believe the question was, what are you going to do to provide for the shortfall? So specifically for that, I can tell you as the County Board of Supervisors, fiscally, that is our #1 issue as the board goes into the next year. Because HR 1, the big beautiful bill, will be devastating to the people here in the valley that rely on their subsidized premiums and their Medi-Cal and Medicare reimbursement, and there will be a lot of people that are falling off the rolls. And when they fall off the rolls, they default to the county. What we've done in the valley and Fresno is we had Community Regional Medical Center. They were the ones providing all of the care and doing that, and we're able to do that with what has been passed from the state legislature and the federal government. Now that the federal government portion of that is taking away, that is a huge, huge concern. Prior to being on the Board of Supervisors, I served 9 years on the Community Regional Medical Center Board of Directors, so I know firsthand the devastation that caused. And even before this new legislation came into place, Community Regional Medical Center is doing over $70 million a year in charitable work and helping the most vulnerable of our community who couldn't pay their bills. That number will double going forward, and as we've seen from Madera, the hospitals cannot sustain that. They already have a low payer mix, over 80% is on Medi-Cal, and the state reimburses at 30 cents on the dollar, and that is not sustainable. The largest institution in the valley, Community Regional, will start to crumble when this new legislation takes place because they can't absorb any more money. So the direct answer to your question is, as a state representative, as we've done, as community has done, as a safety net for the people, as the county has done for those, I will provide the funding to meet that need for the people to fill the gap.
Okay, my question is about the youth. The youth is the future. The youth are getting hooked up on a lot of products like vaping. As a school board trustee, we spend so much money and vape detectors. We're treating our schools more like prisons with metal detectors. But a lot of those issues can be avoided, especially with these favored vapes that make a lot of kids addictive, a lot of controlled substance. What are your plans to address the needs of the youth? I know that coming out of a pandemic, a lot of the youth feel neglected. There's not a lot of soccer academies. There's not a lot of baseball opportunities, and also adding to that, obviously, they feel the pressure and anxiety. The parents are struggling to pay rent and so forth. And when they play a sport, a lot of times, they're led into controlled substance to find a quick escape. What are we doing to protect our youth from all these also predatory social media ads that prey on our kids and our children?
Well, again, we can only rely on our past experience, and what we've done in Fresno County is the county board, we partnered with our district attorney, and we had an aggressive campaign about fentanyl and educating the youth as to how one pill that you don't know where it comes from can kill you, and there's no do-overs on that. So we need to have more campaigns like that to educate our youth. In addition, as a school board member, we started the after-school program. And there's nothing for free, but there is no cost to the parents that after school, instead of go home and be unsupervised and in the streets, we provided a safe place where the children could come in, get help with their homework, participate in athletic events, and do all of those kinds of things to keep them occupied. As a county supervisor, we've invested a lot of money into our parks, into lighting at night, so that the youth do have those forums and places that they can recreate to help keep them out of trouble. Because if we can keep them busy by either studying or doing athletic events, I believe that's half the battle until they become of age and have the internal fortitude to say, that's not for me, I'm not gonna do that. In terms of your vaping, I believe the state has already taken that step and has banned all the flavor vapes and are really strict on that. I can tell you the city of Fresno has really cracked down. They have a lot of undercover things, and if you're caught selling anything to a minor, you get a fine, and the second time, they revoke your license. So I think it's those kind of things that we need to have some teeth in there and tell the people you're not going to make any profit on the backs of our kids.
Yeah, so we've been involved in the One Overkill as well. We were really aggressive with zoning in Merced around tobacco and vaping at facilities near schools. Can't do it. But what are the opportunities? I wish we could take a field trip around Merced and we could just show you all the things that we've done as a community. Things like taking an old fire station and turning it into a youth center. Taking an old portion of a police station, turning it into a youth center. Opening swimming pools that have been closed for years. Transforming unused park fields into soccer fields that folks like Fernando in the back, he's got 2,000 youth and he has an amazing soccer program. And that's not the city, that's Fernando and his team running the program, but creating opportunities, environments for people to thrive. Another thing we did, and this was key, we set up a youth council. And they got to weigh in on every issue that came before the city council. So that we had the voice, the input from youth in terms of how does this policy impact them as youth. It also creates an opportunity for them to be more involved and engaged in the city process. So it's creating opportunities, as youth, but also job opportunities, right? Ultimately, it's not just about entertainment and distraction and those types of things, but who are you gonna be as an adult, right? And who are your mentors? Providing mentors for people to be able to have a pathway and say, hey, like I've never met an engineer or an accountant or a welder or whoever it might be, and having those experiences is transformative, and recognizing that each of us as electeds also have those opportunities. A lot of eyeballs looking at us and continuing to foster